Hello and welcome to Data Planet. I'm Emma Davis, and today's guest is Sandy Pell, Senior Director of Corporate Marketing at Invoca. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Yeah, good to see you, Emma. Thanks for inviting me to the show today.
My pleasure. So, to start, tell me about Invoca. Who are your customers and what problem do you help them solve?
Yeah, of course. So Invoca is an AI platform built for B2C brands who interact with their customers via contact centers. So whether think about next time you call into a contact center, if you often get bumped around on IVRs, you get put on hold, or you finally reach someone and they have no idea why you might be calling, even though in your head you're ready to make a purchase or upgrade a cell phone plan or spend some type of revenue investment with that brand. Invoca helps connect that entire digital buyer journey so that the person that you're connecting with on the other end knows, who you are, why you're calling, and can convert you as quickly as possible. So we help marketers and contact center teams to just provide that great customer experience.
Nice. Awesome. And so, for me, with a digital marketing background, the thing that comes to mind is like, oh, it's like conversion rate optimization on a website. Like you just want to make it, if someone's ready to purchase, you want to remove those barriers to entry and get them where they want to go and not like, how do I find, I'm trying to give you money. How do I find the place where I do that to make that a better experience for them, increase the conversion rate, potentially increase the value of those customers as well?
Exactly, exactly. And the unique thing about Invoca is that we really lean on working with your first party data. So, for example, if you're looking to make a longer term commitment with the brand, maybe you're looking to do a mortgage or buy a new cell phone plan or health insurance, for example. You've probably had some previous conversations or given some of your data to that brand already, and so Invoca is really looking to stitch all of that data together and just provide that personalized experience for you.
Fantastic. And I know that Invoca does things like also providing insights. So things like sourcing incoming phone calls, not just stitching the data together, the first party data together in terms of like who is this customer and what do those interactions look like, but also giving companies insights into what's driving that activity.
Yeah, so we've got AI models that are running on the back end of our entire solution. So think about like signal discovery, signals that happen on a call where a customer may say a certain phrase or maybe have some type of interaction or several interactions that indicate that they might be a potential to make a sale quicker. So for example, once a company has lots of data points to say that this type of customer is typically ready to buy, they can then change the entire journey for that customer so that when they contact a contact center, they're not like stumbling along the way and speaking with different individuals. Instead, they're converted right through to a team that can help them make that conversion as quick as possible.
Amazing. That's awesome. And I immediately am thinking about all the clients that we have where I'm like, oh man, I wonder if this kind of thing could work for them. Um, but so what are your responsibilities within Invoca as the senior director of corporate marketing?
Yeah, so I work with a very talented team of folks who engage with everything, I'll say like external based. So, for example, everything from our content marketing strategy, our website, our brand, our public relations, analyst relations. I also pull that internally for our internal comms strategy. So, really thinking about just maximizing the overall communication with external stakeholders as well as inside the business.
Awesome.
Very
Okay.
fun. It's a very adventurous type of role, and really happy to be in this type of role. My goal is really just to get the right information to the right people at the right moment.
Yeah. So what are your measures of success? Because, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily direct response or, you know, tracked post marketing revenue or anything like that. Like as the person focusing on how you're telling your story to the world and the information you're putting out there, what does success look like for you?
Yeah, for us, success is definitely comes down to efficiency, driving inbound conversion on our site, ensuring that our digital marketing practices or our content marketing practices are all obviously driving that same story to convert you as most efficiently as possible. A lot of the conversion metrics on the brand and court marketing side also have to do with the brand experience. So, for example, the ensuring that the brand is, sitting at the right reputation externally that we'd like it to be with analysts, with influencers, with media and comms folks as well. and then working very closely with our demand gen team, product marketing team, design team to again ensure that all of their needs are met within our team as well.
Hearing you talk about Invoca, it's so interesting the way what you do for customers is sort of mirrored internally. Like what you do for customers is trying to remove those friction points and create value and efficiency. And what you're talking about, internally, what your team does sounds like, oh, it's a lot like that. You guys, you walk the walk. It's not like two totally different worlds that you're operating with. It's all
No,
part of the same system.
no, we're
Um,
constantly learning how to bring the outside practices in.
that's awesome. And one area where I know you've done that is in the sort of AI arms race. So there's all this anxiety around like companies need to be adopting AI. Companies also need to be providing AI to their customers. Um, if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat, you're falling behind, you're doing it wrong. But also, if you are adopting it wrong, are you falling into the trap where, I have this hammer, so every problem's a nail, and you're not
Yeah.
actually solving valuable problems? And so, what I find interesting about you guys again is you have the AI application within your product, but
Mhm.
you also have a really fascinating internal AI adoption framework and story. And I'd love to talk about that more because I know that's a source of angst and excitement.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
um,
well said, well
yeah,
said, Emma.
yeah. And so to start, I just want us to kick it off with what was the mission for Invoca around AI adoption? Because it doesn't sound like it was as simple as do AI things. Like how was that framed up to get you moving in the right direction?
Yeah, so one thing I'll just start this story by saying that one thing that is unique about Invoca is that we have been an AI centric application tool dating a decade. So when I joined the company about 5 years ago, I joined an AI software company, but at that time no one cared about AI.
Yeah.
AI was not like a thing that it is today. It was cool. It was interesting that it was an AI centric product that we were selling to market, but internally, the generative AI adoption is obviously not where it is today. So in those first like 2 years or so, it was fairly business as usual. I've come from a lot of different startups in my time, very high growth startups that have gone from A to B within a very short couple of years. So I've always just had that rapid fire test, 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 try, see what we can make happen, thinking really outside of the stereotypical box of way of doing things. And I think that actually just keeps me excited to be in a career. So
Mhm.
I always look for organizations when I'm looking to join a company that have that same spice level to what they're doing in their organization. So those first couple years at Invoca, fairly business as usual, but also like testing a lot of exciting things to make sure that we can break out into market. Um, in late 2022 or so, around November timeframe, like generative AI started taking off fast. We were all sitting around our homes prior to the winter break and holidays, and this thing was kind of developing in the back end and chat gpt, and people kept messing it up, chat gpt.
Yeah. I
We all
Yep, I
remember
was
this
one of
time.
them. Me
Yeah,
too. Yep, I
we
did that.
remember this time where it was kind of things are changing. A lot of people on YouTube are starting to talk about like what's happening to businesses in tech and whatnot. And my husband and I were just sort of sitting around, holiday dinner time off, and thinking like, there's more and more of this. Literally every day we're reading about it. So when I went back in January, early 2025, it was pretty much a game on sort of moment for me where it was, I look at what we're doing across marketing and think there are more efficient ways that we could be using some of these tools that are coming to market. So it was really that like first quarter of 2025 where there was quite like rapid curiosity of experiments around using AI. It was a lot of, you know, one-off little instances of using it here, using it there, taking a piece of content and, working it into three other types of pieces of content. A lot of a lot of taking data and doing analysis with tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and whatnot. Um, but we kind of fell into probably a similar state to a lot of businesses where a lot of experimental things going on across the business. Infoca is not a small company. We're about 375 or so individuals, and our marketing team is just shy of 30 people on the team. So we've got a lot of hungry people doing a lot of really interesting things.
Yeah.
But it really came there. There comes a point where the experiments need to continue, but have a moment where they need to actually drive, um, some type of operationalization in the business and make sure that we can, indicate a moment of change.
Yeah, a
So,
lot of things going like an inch deep and a mile
yeah,
wide, and like,
yeah.
what if we were
The
all sort of
people, there's a lot
the
of enthusiasm, and
yeah.
the thing that is also great about our organization is that we have always had support from top down in driving AI adoption internally and using, safe guidelines and practices and understanding the right types of data that can go into these types of systems. But hearing peers and colleagues of mine working in other types of organizations, there was a lot of like, don't do that here mentality around that early 2025 period. And it was really interesting as an outside observer to see how companies were thinking about what they could do with AI.
Mhm. Yeah, and so what was that transition then from like everybody's kind of playing with this and finding cool stuff, but this could easily just spiral out into, or maybe there wasn't risk associated with it. It was more the opportunity associated with it of like, imagine if we could align our direction and velocity with this, how much further we could go if we had an actual plan around what we want to tackle and how this can change the way we work. So what was sort of the genesis of starting to
Yeah.
map that out?
Yeah, so ironically, that same first week of April, I was at Forrester analyst community. They run an event called the B2B Summit, and I was at the B2B Summit, sitting in one of their 7 a.m. morning breakfast roundtables that looked curious, interesting about AI adoption. And I sat in there and started hearing other stories that were going on around me on just how other businesses across many different, fields and backgrounds were thinking about this same thing. And what was interesting is that probably 80% of the room, there was maybe 40 of us or so in the room, and the majority of people who were brave enough to speak up admitted that their companies were either like they felt like it was slow adoption or they were told not to do it. They weren't getting the passion again from their broader teams to figure out how this could be an advantage toward ensuring that they're driving velocity and impact from using AI. So that same week, my CMO Peter Isaacson started chatting with his leadership team, his marketing leadership team, and we had this moment where we're looking at our marketing values and our operating principles around passion, curiosity, bias toward action, figuring it out, constantly improving, and we're thinking, let's model something around let's model an adoption practice of AI in marketing that can then spin out into something bigger for our company. So right around this time, we all decided to get on a call with the marketing team. We used that marketing team meeting that week, and we talked to our team about this big report. We have this one report that we run every year. We've run it for several years back to back. It's no surprise that it was coming. We actually, admittedly, had already started like the manual drafting of the report, and kind of went to the team and said, "Hey, why don't we reframe the way that we're about to drive this report forward, and let's flip every process that we do on its head. Let's use this as our test experiment." So we named this thing the AI Launch Lab Initiative. And there was some people on the team, I could see like the Zoom eyes are lit up and they're excited, and other ones on the team are like, oh, this thing we have to figure out how to do. Like there was a lot of emotion from all sides on like what we do and what this actually means for my impact on launching this particular report.
Yeah,
So there were a
especially with
couple.
I mean, I'll say with a name like that, I think it was probably obvious to everybody, this isn't just about this report. This is a whole
This
thing.
is a
Like,
shift. This
yeah.
is a shift.
Yeah.
So we had a couple core principles. First one is around AI at every step of what you're about to do. Number two is human can always override your work with AI if AI is underperforming and is encouraged to do so. Number three is full team participation. So we're all going to try. We're all going to try this. And number four, and really important one, was to document everything, especially like your prompts and your results and what's working and what's failing along the way. So we put this into like a mapped out 6-step process where we looked at what I'll say like the legacy, like the previous way that we would launch this report. And we wrote it out. We spent a little bit of time writing out the 6 steps around the planning, the content creation, the pre-launch phase, what has to happen during that time, the launch phase, the post-launch phase, and then a retro and use case analysis on what we were going to do. And then this is where things got really interesting because using this 6-step previous process, we pulled different people from the marketing team to figure out, okay, you're going to look at the planning phase. What steps of that actual planning phase can you flip upside down and try using different AI tools in, the major engines like the GPTs, the Claudes, the Geminis, but also think about like all the tools that you're already using, whether it's like the AI that's built into Asana or the AI that's built into Grammarly or
Mm.
Riverside has AI. Like every company around this time was driving so much, so many interesting AI features within their products as well. But it really takes a mind shift to get you to spend the time to to try the new tools that are launching and all the tools that you already use today. So we really carved out space for our team um, to let them play with the options available to them without feeling like they had to just like get this report out fast. So we slowed the launch date of the report back a couple weeks to really carve out that time, make space, and have everyone across marketing literally revisit the process that they typically would do to tackle that task that they were working on.
Wow. Did you say that was the spring of 2023 that started?
This was actually the first quarter of 2025.
Okay. All right.
So this is like that moment where there's a lot of playing happening across our company with AI, but we hadn't really pushed it to a point where it was a change in how we work yet. It was a experimental adoption, but we
Mhm.
needed to shift full adoption and full process.
Nice. And so that was a year ago
That was a
ish.
year ago. Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that report is coming up again
Yeah.
soon. But but how
Yeah.
did that kind of how did that infect in a good way other aspects of your team and of the business beyond, that one report or even just the marketing function alone?
Yeah, so what's really cool about forcing a function like this to happen is that it takes longer initially, but much like learning any new skill, you gotta put the time in to learn the skill, and then you realize, like, the art of the possible on the other side, and that
Mhm.
gets really exciting. So once we sorta, like, opened up the door and said, "Hey, here's time and space to play on how you can use AI in your role. Now let's see what else you can do." So what's
Mm.
cool now is we've adopted lots of different really interesting AI tools across the business at the corporate enterprise level. So they're full secure instances that all 370 of our employees can have access to. We've also, in marketing specifically, everything that we have done over the last year has been more efficient, more creative, more just reactive to general market trends based on being able to open up that space to you know try things different. So things, for example, like we typically would launch one core report, and like 2 weeks later, we would start dripping out little industry specific versions, and that whole process would take time, weeks. Using a lot of the AI tools at our disposal, our content marketing team was able to produce, believe it was 9 re nope, no, 11 reports over 2 days, in all the different verticals, which allowed our PR team to then go and pitch vertical-specific publications all at the same time when they typically would have had to wait. It allowed our content marketing teams also to write, to help write, um, communications for our leaders across the business, both internally and externally, and just again made sure that adoption was strong and modeled across the business. So it's definitely been a huge transformation in how we work in marketing, but it's also transformed fully outside of marketing with, presentations and show and tell style experiences where marketing leaders and leaders from all the other departments of the business have essentially taken this launch lab model, adopted it for their own initiatives internally, launched up their own initiatives based on their own adoption, and then we've got these show and tells that happen where everyone is spending time teaching each others across the business and really like sharing the learnings and the failures and the adoptions to make us all quicker. So, it's been a pretty cool process internally to go through this experience. While it has its, hardships and challenges along the way, it's something that I think I'm really, you know, generally passionate about having other people try to make space for adoption of things like this because it really does, like, drive excitement and passion and, again, the art of the possible of where you could go from here.
Absolutely. There's so much to love about that story and that experience, from what it says about the culture at Invoca, and that, go ahead, play, fail, figure out what's going on, but, do it in a productive fashion so we can,
Yeah.
figure this out so we can move forward. As well as, AI aside, there being now a mentality and an experience of, well, what if we did this differently? What if I'm not just doing the thing, I'm also taking a step back once in a while to look at, how am I doing that? Could that be better? And just again, in our conversations about Invoca, it seems like your values from product through operation are so consistent and so strong within the company. It allows people to be creative and flexible within these sort of safe spaces. But I mean, that framework, I feel like, yes, that's a great launch point for AI, but I mean, who knows what's coming next? I feel like
Yeah.
that would it's a great framework for any sort of, operational transition. It's really fascinating, and I appreciate you, you know, sharing a little bit of the secret recipe to to successful
Yeah.
adoption on the show.
Yeah, it's, I think where we really go from here is, we've done a lot around generative AI and analysis with AI, but now there's this entire model we're figuring out on, agentic AI modeling. So we're now bringing external trainers in to teach our teams on how they can take their micro processes, stitch those processes together to, again, amplify what's possible in agentic systems like Gumloop or N8N or various other tools that are available for markets today. So I'm really curious to see where we're going to go from here. In about a week and a half, or no, a month and a half, we've got something called Passion Days running, where we've got an entire week dedicated to for each department at Invoca to make space again to pick up different opportunities and models and really promote that professional development around agentic AI and AI adoption in their roles. So it's very exciting, very unknown,
Yeah.
but we'll see where we're gonna go from here and maybe do another update with you in a year and see where where things landed.
I would love that,
But
because yeah, it's something I hear all over the place in different groups, people feeling nervous about this and feeling like they don't know where to start, and is this hype? Is it taking over the world? Is it and just saying, "Okay, what if we approach it with some curiosity and alignment with our vision for the value we provide, and just keep exploring, keep investing in this growth." I think you guys are approaching that in such an effective and, um, like, joyful way. It sounds fun and exciting, and, yeah, and I appreciate you again, talking about it on the show. I would love to follow up and hear like, how's that going? How are you, how are you guys applying that to space travel? The next whatever comes up in the next couple
Yeah.
of years.
Well, we've definitely converted some skeptics, so that's been fun to just watch that process, but, yeah, we're all working through a very interesting world of tech right now, and I think the unknown is just something that we're all getting comfortable with, and that's okay, so it really just takes, like, one step at a time and where we go from here and build upon that.
Amazing. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up there. Listeners, if you want to learn more about Sandy and Invoca, details will be in the show notes. Otherwise, Sandy, thank you so much for sharing such a powerful um, and valuable story with us here on Data Planet. And thanks for being our guest.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Thanks to all the listeners as well.
And cut. All right, so we're a little bit over on time. I don't know if you have a hard stop at 1:30, but
No, I think mm, I am okay.
checking. Okay. Um, Cool. Any questions or concerns about any of that? I think that was lovely, and I think you condensed a very complex process down into
Okay,
a really
good.
short time frame. I
That's
thought that was
that was
great.
my question to you was that okay?
Uh-huh.
Is there anything that I could do better? But if you think that was good, that's fine.
I think that was lovely and fascinating, and yeah, I'm wondering if there's some sort of like visual that would be helpful to create of those steps for release with this episode, or like once the episode comes out, if you want to share something with a visual. But that was sort of where my mind went, was like, oh man,
Yeah, um I don't know if I can share a screen here. I have a couple slides that maybe I can give you like 4 or 5 slides that walk through. This is a presentation I gave on this exact topic with one of our VC firms, Bonfire. And so I think I can take, like I was referring to the 6-step process, some of the tools that have baked AI into their existing tools,
huh?
some of the key learnings. I can probably just streamline this out a little bit. It's a pretty short little deck, but I think that would be fine to use externally.